new TV program at Stonebridge, produced right here to be shown on the familiar station 1979. We're calling it Getting to Know You, that is Stonebridge residents and staff. We plan to do a series of programs of about 10 to 15 minutes in length, mainly interviews with interesting, engaged individuals in our community. Probably weekly, or at least often, we're not committing. Some of the programs will come from the library, where we are now, and others will be on site in the community. My name is Ingrid Reed, and my role is host, similar to one I had as a co-host on Princeton Community Television for 4 years after I retired. Before I turn to Jeff Tiener, who is sitting here with me, you've probably seen him in the picture, and who will tell you about his ideas for this program, I know he would want me to thank our timer, Sandy Hyatt, and our producer, Robin Doherty, who is filming, editing, and putting it on 1979, and Brooke Swope, our chief advisor. And now I want to turn to you, Jeff Tiener. Please give us the background thinking for this initiative, something that developed as you got started on the incoming president role of the Resident Association. So what got you doing this?
Thank you very much, Ingrid, and I would like to thank you for your initiative in putting this together and overseeing this, marshaling it to its current stage, and repeat your thanks to Sandy, Robin, and Brooke for their support, and indeed Robin is doing much more than supporting. She is actually doing everything else, so I appreciate that.
It's just another thing, right?
Just another thing, that's right. I very much welcome this opportunity because around the time of the election, or a little bit before, that took place in mid-May, you'll recall, there were people saying that they did not know who some of the people running for office were, me included. We did not have the normal...
How could they not know?
We did not have the normal opportunity to introduce the various candidates at Residents Association meetings, so it occurred to me that there ought to be a way to fill that void, at least after the fact, and that is what this is an attempt to do. So we will be doing some interviews with executive committee members to let them get to know the community.
And then with others.
And then with many others.
I remember we said we would do staff too.
Yes.
So that might be the surprise entry into this list.
My guess is, Ingrid, that there will be no shortage of candidates for interviews because this community is full of very interesting people. So.
And there are a lot of people involved. I found out in my research that there are 17 committees which we want you to talk about.
Oh my goodness, all right.
Well, thank you for your thoughtfulness and not wasting time to get it done. And here we are. And congratulations, especially on your new role. I want to more formally address you as Jeffrey B. Tiener, as you appeared on the ballot and that got you elected. Could I ask you to tell us about your route to the presidency? What got you involved in the Resident Association, or what got you involved volunteering for something? But you clearly have had a kind of track record of being known for getting things done, and here you are as president. What got you started?
I moved here to Stonebridge with my wife 5.5 years ago, and it was apparent to me that I was going to be on my own after not too much time, and I decided that it would be a good idea for me to get deeply involved in this community to keep me busy and occupied. And David Mulford, who was then the president of the Residents Association, a long time ago, yes, he asked me to serve on the Transportation Committee, and I agreed to do that. And not too long after that, the person who had been chair wanted to bow out, age, so on. So I became chair of the Transportation Committee.
Could you just tell us what the Transportation Committee covers?
Yes, the Transportation Committee works primarily with Brooke and the vehicle drivers. Bridget attends all of the meetings along with Brooke, and we try to assess the extent to which the transportation resources are being being utilized for not only the things like banks and shopping, which are more necessary, but also for activities, McCarter, Princeton University concerts, summer concerts, all sorts of.
So it's regular things, and then how do you respond to special occasions or events or something like that, yeah.
Precisely.
And then, I guess, all the medical appointments that are so important here, right?
Pardon me for not saying that first, because that is the transportation priority. You're
Is it real, is it
absolutely
really?
right.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely
Okay,
right.
all right.
Yes.
So then what came next?
Well, I joined the health committee because I was interested in the health committee and what it was doing. And not too long after I came, I was asked if I would be willing to run for the executive committee, and I said I would. And in these uncontested elections, I swept to victory, served there for a year.
So can you just tell us how big is the executive committee? Because I know we saw the pictures on the information that came out with the ballot. But there's the executive committee, and then there are other committees.
Yes,
and so-
okay. So the executive committee consists of 3 at-large members who serve for 2-year terms. Treasurer, secretary, vice president, and president. And then the 8th person is the immediate past president. So there are those 8 people, and the
Right.
executive director almost invariably sits in on the meetings as well, and we
Right.
meet once a month.
And is there a way of the committee chairs getting together, or is that a more, less formal?
2 times a year, instead of having resident association meetings, the executive committee meets with all committee chairs. All committee chairs are invited to come and talk to the executive
Yeah.
committee about what they're doing, what their needs might be. Some of them are seeking financial support. The program committee with which you're familiar is one that sometimes requests
Right.
additional funding,
Yeah.
and we're happy to do that. And there are other kinds of
Right.
things of that nature.
Right.
Maybe somebody needs more support, or
Yeah. I was struck by the statement in the handbook when we decided to do this. I thought, what does it officially say about the resident association, which you are heading? And it was very interesting because it was a dual kind of role. And one, the resident committee, which is everybody, we're all members, we don't pay dues or anything
Correct.
like that. It is seen as both a way of gathering residents' interests, opinions, and so on, and filtering them up, I guess, sort of through the executive committee and the president to the administration. But then it's also a way for the administration to work with the residents and probably go through the executive committee or the chairs. But it's a kind of two-way street, and it was very carefully outlined. You couldn't miss it right there in the beginning of the handbook.
yes,
So-
that is an astute pickup. It's both roles. One of the things that I have discovered, the more I have learned about the way Stonebridge operates, the way Spring Point operates, is that the interests of the residents are very much aligned with the interests of the management and vice versa. There's sometimes some issues over money, but guess what? If it costs more money, the residents are going to have to pay more, and
Right.
residents don't want to have to pay
Right,
more.
right.
So the conflict is very often within, among the residents, more
Yeah,
than
right,
between.
right. Well, with that introduction, I think we're putting people on warning that this is not a casual thing. And your presidency is a challenge, but everybody else has a challenge too if they're living here.
That's correct.
Jeff, one of the things that happens here is people are new and they go to dinner together. And inevitably the question is, what did you do before you came to Stonebridge? So maybe people would like to know that about you. Could you just sort of say what was your profession, what hobbies or volunteer or activities? Who are you?
Okay, who am I? You know this, Ingrid. I came to New Jersey and it was 1969, and I worked for the state for 11 years, and it was during that time that I met you in one capacity. I met your husband Marv in another capacity.
Yeah, even you met him before me.
That's
yeah,
correct, yes. At that time, those pesky teachers were going on strike. This was the early 70s, and we had a spate of
They
teachers
somehow
strike.
haven't stopped doing that. Maybe that's good.
Yes, so Marv was the PR guy to try to
Yeah.
assure that the public supported the teachers who were striking in these various communities in New Jersey at that time, and my role as a mediator was to go and try to serve between the boards of education and the teachers, the NJEA, to get them to come to an agreement. So in those two capacities, I got to know both Reeds,
Yeah.
which was very nice. And in 1980, I left the state and became self-employed as a labor arbitrator. And I did that until just about 2 years or so ago. So I have been only recently retired, but self-employed for many, many years.
Yeah, I guess maybe that's a little bit more organized when you're working on cases without being out in the field and or having a lot of the complexities around you all the time before you get to be a mediator. And
Being a mediator is more difficult. It's also more gratifying. But being an arbitrator, as you suggest, is more orderly. It's really a sort of judicial type proceeding, a courtroom type of a setting with labor and management and generally attorneys on both sides representing the parties in a formal presentation.
Well, maybe someday you'll be able to tell us about your cases, because I think it's a real look into American society that we don't really always see, that the conflicts that arise within jobs and so on.
That's right.
But we're glad you've had that experience. I think it may serve you well as you embark on this activity. Thank you very much, Jeff. It sounds like you have a lot of relevant experience to lead us, and we look forward to your wise guidance and getting to know you as president as well as a resident.
Thank you.
And now we have a wonderful task. As we say hello to you in your new role, we want to say goodbye and thank you to our surprise guest. We are honored to have John Williams, the outgoing president of the Resident Association, here with us, so we can recognize his service to our community and have him appear on the first of these videos. I'm going to turn to you, Jeff, to say something about John.
Yes, on behalf of the Residents Association, John, I want to thank you for your many years of service. You were president for 4 years. I believe you were vice president for 2 years before that, and treasurer 2 years before that. So you have had 8 years on the executive committee, and then you will have 2 more years as immediate past president. So that's
They're not letting you go.
They're not letting, they won't let me have fun.
One of the things that you did, John, I know, was to respond to questions and inquiries from residents about problems or issues. And I just wanted to reinforce that I fully anticipate doing the same thing. I welcome email or telephone inquiries from residents, and I will try to, if I can't answer the question, which is sometimes possible, but I can probably refer you to the right person to get the answer. So please don't hesitate to reach out to me as part of my effort to improve and increase communications as much as possible, particularly during this period of COVID-19.
I think, Jeff, we have something that will be happening in the future.
That is right. When, not if, but when we get back to First Fridays, the very first Friday that we have will be dedicated to John and his service, and we will recognize him at that point. We'll clink some glasses to get attention and let you take one last bow, at least as immediate past president.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay.
That's,
And just to have a little ceremony here, we have something for you to take home with you. It's just a little simple, sincere sign of what we want to say, which is thank you. Not sure it will last until the first Friday, but we hope you enjoy it. Maybe put it outside your door. And we wish you and Lillian good times ahead with less meetings and more relaxed and fun occasions at Stonebridge, the first one being First Friday. So you can take that home with
okay,
you.
thank you very much.
There you go.
Well, yeah, Linda will appreciate this, that's for sure.
Linda, I'm sorry.
Okay, it's all right.
I'm bad. I get the first letter of first names and then I fall apart.
Well, that's a good start. That's right.
Well, what a wonderful way to conclude the first Getting to Know You at Stonebridge program. Thank you to Jeff for your good idea and your participation, and Sandy
pleasure.
and Robin. All three will continue with this endeavor to keep our community connected. Let us hear from you, and for now, hello from me. Come back again, and call me, Ingrid Reed, if you have ideas. Thanks a lot.